You're listening to the Straight to Video podcast with Rob Lane.
Hey, what's up? Hope you're doing great and welcome to another episode of my podcast, Straight to Video. I am still Rob Lane and I am still super grateful that you choose to listen to this show with all the other great podcasts out there, so thank you so much. Today, I speak to the wonderful Cassidy Paris, who is an Australian-based hard rock singer who has been causing waves the past few years with their awesome hard-hitting rock tunes, and over the past few months, we've been served up singles and videos from her current Nothing Left to Lose EP, which is a teaser for the full-length Bittersweet album, which is being released through Frontiers Records on November the 21st. The new songs feature collaborations with hard rock royalty in the form of Paul Lane of The Defiance and Danger Danger, along with straight-to-video favourite Steve Brown of Trickster. Now, Cassidy was on great form and we had a lot of fun chatting about the new songs, the album and videos, along with their introductions to hard rock through her family, along with how she dealt with the huge disappointment of having to cancel her last UK tour after members of the band quit at the very last minute. Cassidy, though, has managed to ride that storm and bounce back in fine style and has announced a brand new UK tour for next year, aptly titled the Finish What We Started Tour, which lands on these shores in May of 2026. All tour info and everything you need to know about the new album Bittersweet can be found at CassidyParis.com. But right now, please enjoy my straight-to-video chat with Cassidy Paris. I was going to say good morning, but I think it's good evening for you.
Yes, it is. It's 7 p.m. here. So perfect. Whereabouts are you from?
I'm nearest big city is Nottingham in the UK.
Nottingham. Oh, I'm playing in Nottingham. I can't wait. I'm so excited. It's my first Nottingham show.
Hey, it's a rock town. You'll do great.
Yeah, I'm so excited. It's funny because it was kind of a late edition as well, but a lot of people are really excited about the Nottingham show, so I'm rapt.
It's a cool place. I think you're playing Billy Bootleggers, right?
Yeah.
Tiny little place, and I don't know if they've changed it or not, but last time we played there, it's got like this cool like graffiti background, and it always looks amazing in photographs. It always looks the business. It's great.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Well, thank you for doing this, and thank you for rescheduling last week. I had like a work thing potentially come up, which of course it didn't, but if we'd have gone ahead with the interview, it would have done. That's how things always work.
I know. That's always how it is. I get it. I fully understand. No worries at all.
So things are all super busy and exciting for you right now with the release of the new EP, Nothing Left to Lose, and the accompanying video, which it pays a great homage to the year 2000 movie Coyote Ugly. Whose idea was that to recreate that? And are you a fan of the film yourself?
I am. I certainly am. And it was my idea, which I was pretty excited about. With this new record, I've kind of been trying to fit themes and put some interesting kind of twists on like music videos that I've been doing and really just kind of roll with the ideas behind the songs. And Nothing Left to Lose and Coyote Ugly, I feel like they really gel well together because Nothing Left to Lose is kind of like a bit of female empowerment anthem. And obviously I love Coyote Ugly. It's like one of the best films ever made. Sorry if anyone didn't like it, but I think it's fantastic. And I just thought to myself, what better fun to have my two closest girlfriends get on a bar with me and dance. And luckily they said yes. I was very lucky that they said yes. And yeah, it's very much like I went through a very public difficulty recently and I was very much not in the best mental headspace. And I feel like sometimes you get to a point in things like that in life where you're like, you know what, pardon my French, but F it. I'm just going to do what I want. I've got nothing left to lose. And I feel like it just all really tied in and gelled in really well. So I was very excited with how it came out in the end.
When did you first see that movie? Was it on DVD? Did someone introduce you to it? As I guess that would be an old movie to you.
It is an old movie to me. I think I first saw it probably on Foxtel or something. And I remember my mum actually showed me the film. She was like, you've got to see this movie, Coyote Ugly. And I just fell in love with it. Obviously, being a musician as well. Like, it's just such a cool concept. And I love the song Can't Fight the Moonlight. That Leanne Rimes song is like one of my favorite tracks. I think it's such a good song. So I quickly became obsessed with the film, and you can kind of see my obsession come through this music video.
How did you go about putting the video together? You mentioned you had your two girlfriends. Did you know the crew as well, or did you have an idea where to shoot it?
Yeah, actually, I had an initial idea of where to shoot it and then ended up changing locations at the last minute, because I just think this bar that we filmed it at was like the best in terms of the actual like look and the vibe of the place. The owner was fantastic. He was so lovely. And the girls were like very much on board to anything that we wanted to do with the music video, which is insane. Like they were such good sports about it. I was like, let's get on the bar and let's do this and let's do that. And they were all very much, we'll do whatever. And I was like, okay, what would be really cool is if you got out the little, I don't know what you call them. It's going to make me sound like a little bit of a...
It's like the little drink dispenser things.
Yeah. I was like, shoot me with those, like guns. And, it'll be so much fun. I'll do the whole like wet hair look like in the film. And obviously it doesn't look like it in the video. It looks like I'm having a great time, but I'm freezing because it was cold that day in Melbourne. But it looked really fun. So that's the main thing.
Did you have to ask permission to stand on the bar? I would imagine you had to.
Well, it was funny because I said to the guy, I went in and like spoke to him. He was like, oh, what are you thinking of like doing in this room? And I was like, can we stand on the bar? Is that a possibility? And I said, I know it's like a really weird ask. I don't want to break your bar. He was like, no, it's so stable. You can get on the bar. You can do whatever you want. He was such a good sport about it. So supportive. And he was like, yeah, that'll be great. Enjoy. He was like, you can come and do a gig here and like play on the bar if you want. I was like, done.
Yes, get in. I guess it gave you an excuse to rewatch the film for references before the video shoot.
That it did. And you know what? That was not, harming me in any way. I was enjoying that thoroughly.
Superb. This new EP also features the track Stronger and Getting Better. There's a real sense of determination and fighting back. Is that a theme which runs through the new album Bittersweet, which is coming out very soon on Frontiers?
Yeah, it is. It totally is. I think that, with Stronger, that was a late addition to the album. And it was definitely something that I feel like I needed to get out message-wise. And it was a powerful thing that I kind of needed to explain to people. And I felt like that was the most professional way to do things. And for me, it's about not only being professional, but also being honest about situations. And I felt like it was my duty and I needed to do my part and say that to people when obviously after everything that unfolded, and I very much had my hands tied in the situation, I couldn't say much. And quite frankly, I didn't want to either. I try to keep things as professional as possible online. But yeah, I think definitely the response to Stronger kind of freaked me out. In a good way, it freaked me out. I was just blown away with the amount of support I got. It was wild to see it all unfold online. And I was receiving personal messages with people that have gone through really similar kind of heartbreak to what I was going through. And obviously it was so heartbreaking what I was going through, but it also created this sense of like family online. It was just a sense of closeness with the audience. And I really am grateful for that.
That whole tour cancellation, that was a huge setback for you and obviously fueled song inspiration, but fair play to you, like not only in your press and online stuff, rather than anger or anything like that, it's a real defiance and pushing forward spirit in the new music.
Thank you.
That whole ordeal for you, how was that for you from the point of view of just picking up pieces and bouncing back? Did you get any really good advice from people around you in the industry as to how to handle it all? Or was it just like one step at a time, like, okay, where do we move forward from this?
I got a lot of really good advice. I'm very lucky to know a lot of people in the industry that do things very professionally. And I think when everything unfolded, everyone saw it play out online. So everyone could see how much it was very much a situation where the rug was pulled out from under me. And that was very evident from my, posts the previous 2 hours before everything happened. And I think definitely for me, it was about moving forward and moving on with my life. And, I wasn't going to let people deter or change that. I felt very silenced for a long time in terms of like what I wanted to do with Cassidy Paris and what I was able to do because of other people around me and the surrounding people. And then with that event, it just really confirms things for me that working with good people and working with professional people is really important. And I think that for me, I was lucky because as much as I was totally heartbroken, like if I said anything else, it would definitely be a lie. Like there was days where I just didn't get out of my bed, but music was literally the only kind of like light for me in that time. And obviously Stronger came out a few weeks later, like I think it was a month and a bit later, Stronger came out and I was really excited to put that out, but I was so nervous as well because telling a story like that is very nerve-wracking after something that drastic happens. And I feel very lucky because I had something to wake up for every single morning, and people around me were saying, like, I had so much positive energy, of course, but it was heartbreaking for me to go online and read things that weren't true. People were spinning things and people were understandably angry and upset by the situation, but I felt like this is my life. And, it not only affected me professionally, but also personally too. Like I was picking up the pieces in my private life too. There was other things that people didn't see online. And I feel very lucky that I came out of that in the way I did. And I feel kind of excited for this new chapter because it's opened that whole situation. I think everything happens for a reason. I like to believe that. Obviously, as much as it was like a shock to the system, I've had so many amazing opportunities come from that too. So I feel very, very lucky. But obviously, I apologize to everyone that did have tickets for that. If it was my decision, obviously it wouldn't have been the decision I made.
On this new album, there's some big collaborations from the melodic rock world in the form of Steve Brown, of Trickster, and also Paul Lane of The Defiance and Danger Danger. I know Paul is someone who's been fighting your corner for a long time. Can you tell us a little how the two of you got to know each other?
Yeah, Paul, I call him a second dad, and then he says, I'm more of a fun uncle. And I'm like, okay, he's the nicest man ever. And, I say that a lot, but Paul is just like, he's an earth angel, really. When I was going through all this stuff, Paul was one of the first people that my family spoke to. And he was like, you know what, we're going to do some music. We're going to, get things happening. And it was really something that motivated me to keep going and pushing on. And that man, I owe so much to him. He is the nicest, like such a world-class musician, of course, but one of the nicest people ever. Like I'm so lucky to have him in my corner. But I think we kind of got started writing when I was probably about like 11 or 12, which is crazy because I'm 22 now. But it's been a long journey and Paul's always been there by my side. So I feel very grateful for that.
When did you first meet? Because obviously he's from Canada. You're down in Australia. Was he touring in Australia or was you over there?
Yeah, he was. He came out on a solo tour in my dad's band, where his backing band. And he came and stayed with us for a few weeks and we kind of just got chatting about music. And it was when I was really getting into music. So I think I was probably about 9 when he first came over, 9 or 10.
There's a rock star in my house.
Yeah, it was so fun. Like I remember he like came over with all these Canadian chocolates and like he bought me this like little, I've got it in my room still, like little like maple leaf bear and stuff. Like he's just so fun, such a good human. And I remember saying to him, like I would go and rehearse like every day. That would be like my thing. And at the time, obviously I hadn't written any music, any full songs at least. So I would rehearse like Hailstorm, I Miss the Misery or something on guitar and like try to be Lizzie. And he'd be like, oh, that's so cool and come jam with me and stuff. So all those memories are very like close to me and I hold like very fondly.
How did you get on Steve Brown's radar? I mean, because I think Steve is like one of the most underrated rock artists of our time, in my opinion. He's so talented.
He is. He is. You know what? I reached out to Steve. Like, I've always been a fan of Steve's work, but I remember listening to Ace Frehley's 10,000 Volts album. And I remember just like listening to it with my dad. And I was like, you know what? This is such a cool record. And then I heard Steve talking about it because I'd followed him for quite some time. And I reached out to him just on a whim. And I was like, he's probably, super busy. And he was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's tee something up. And he was the coolest person from day dot. He sent me Nothing Left to Lose. And he was like, look, I know you do like the co-writing thing. And we did co-write another track called Brand New Day on this record. But he was like, I really think this is very much in like your pocket. And I heard it and I was, this is exactly like what I need on the new record. And I just connected with that song really quickly.
It doesn't really sound like a Steve Brown song, though, in my opinion. It's quite different for him.
It is quite different. I think so as well. When I heard it first, I also thought the same thing as you, but he's just such a versatile artist too, is what I've learned. Like he's just such a multi-talented musician and he really can write anything. He is such an awesome world-class musician, and Nothing Left to Lose was one of those songs that I connected with straight away. And I was like, yeah, I would be honored to have it on the record. So that's kind of how that one came about.
He was the first ever guest on this podcast as well.
Hey, that's great. He's a ball of like light and life, and he's just so fun to talk to.
Was Trickster already on your radar as well before you heard that Ace Frehley album?
Yeah, and you know what? When I was growing up, I remember my dad's ringtone on his phone was Tattoos and Misery. And I loved that song so much. Such a good track. That was like the ringtone of my childhood. I loved it.
They're always like one of my favorite bands. They're all maybe just like 1 or 2 years older than me. Well, PJ's probably the same age, but the rest of them are maybe just a couple of years older. And they were like, oh, I wanted to be friends with this band. They're so cool. They were the guys I wanted to hang out with. They were awesome.
They're so cool. And you know what? They just have like you said, they've just got a coolness edge to them. And I'm like, yeah, exactly. You want to be friends with those sort of people.
Definitely. You mentioned coming back to the UK next year and playing Nottingham. Got a brand new UK tour, the Finish What We Started tour, which is going to be in May of 2026. Are there any other places places you've warmed to in the UK and looking forward to getting back to?
You know what? I'm looking forward to getting back to the UK in general. I feel very, very blessed and grateful that I am coming back to the UK, so quickly. And I've got so much planned for 2026 that I'll obviously reveal soon. But, one place that I've spoken about a little bit is the Waterloo in Blackpool. A lot of people have been asking me to play that venue for quite some time. So it's exciting that I get to play it now. And yeah, I can't wait to meet everyone there because it's just going to be such a fun night, I think.
Yeah, it's a great, great place. I mean, from the outside, it just looks like a pretty big UK pub. But you go inside and it's just this awesome, just rock venue, just totally kitted out. Just not the stage area, but just wall to wall. Everything is rock and roll. So Ian, who runs that, and everybody else is just the best there. They really look after everybody as well and doing it for the right reason. So yeah, you'll have a blast there for sure. And you get to check out Blackpool as well.
Exactly. I don't know much about Blackpool at all, but I am excited.
You being from Melbourne, Australia, I mean, is that where you actually grew up? Is that where you lived all your life? And how was that for you as a rock fan? Were there many outlets in like the 2010s for you growing up and getting into rock music? Any cool music stores or anything like that?
Yeah, you know what? No disrespect to Australians, but I think you guys do it a little bit better in the UK in terms of the stores and stuff. But definitely there's so many bands coming out of Australia, especially now. Like for the rock scene, it's probably the best I've seen it in a long time. Like it's very exciting to be a part of this kind of new wave of female-fronted bands. And for me, I grew up in a very loving, kind of nurturing scene in the Melbourne rock scene and metal as well, because my dad's in a band called Black Majesty. And then obviously more recently, Wicked Smile. And I'm just close with a lot of people from that scene because of being brought up around them. And that's something I'm very grateful and lucky to have as well.
You must have this really cool perspective on music, which I'd love to learn about. You grew up in the 2000s when physical media was like really on the decline. And how we consume music really changed and it's never really gone back that much. But you also, like you say, you grew up in a music-loving family, your dad a musician himself, so they would be very familiar with how the music world was. And then along you come with this younger perspective. How was you consuming music once you became a fan? Was it online, your parents' record collection, videos on TV or YouTube? Can you recall how it was for you? Was it a mixture of everything?
Sure. I think definitely it was a mixture of everything to me. And I remember when I was growing up, my dad had, he still has this, but we just don't go to it as much now. He does, but I haven't seen it in a while. He has this like massive stuck to the like top of the ceiling of like CDs. And I remember just like when I was younger, like when we would get in the car and going to school or going on a road trip or something, we would like go and pick out like a few CDs that we kind of wanted to listen to and rotate. And that was like a fun experience for me. I think that I had a very well-rounded education on rock music, and my dad wasn't the type of parent that forced me to listen to it either. I think that's like a huge misconception with a lot of people. People think that, because dad was kind of doing the rock thing that I had to. But my brother listens to a completely different genre of music, and that's never ever been something where my parents have been like, no, you can't do that. that. Like, he has nothing to do with the rock scene at all, and they are just as proud of him as well. And for me, I have a bunch of things that I kind of consumed. My dad also had a vinyl player too, so I've been obsessed with vinyl since I was a little girl, and I would see him go get vinyl signed at shows that we would go to together, and then obviously like streaming like Spotify as well.
Now you're an artist in a genre of music that really harks for that old school physical element of music. So, and you have your new album landing on vinyl. That must be exciting for you. So you're seeing your dad getting records signed. You're going to get records brought to you to get signed now.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm so excited. I'm just so happy that the record label brought it out on vinyl, because people have been speaking about, having a Cassidy Paris vinyl for a long while. And, it's so exciting to be able to see that come out and people be receiving it. And I'm yet to, because I know obviously the album hasn't come out yet, so I'm yet to see someone with the physical vinyl in their hands yet, because it hasn't been sent out yet. But I'm just seeing now on socials and everyone's getting their Cassidy Paris t-shirts that everyone have ordered, and the bundles and stuff are going to be arriving soon. So I can't wait, because we've got a gold one and a red one. And yeah, it's pretty wild for me, to be honest, because I just never thought that this would go in the way it has, to be honest.
Do you recall any early albums which made a real lasting effect on you when getting into music?
Definitely.
Either from like seeing the cover artwork or once you heard it, which ones jumped to mind?
Yeah, I think a bunch. I was a huge Def Leppard fan, for starters. Hysteria was one of those albums that I just listened to and I was like, whoa, there's like so much happening here. The harmonies and the hooks, and that's all, kind of how I learnt to songwrite, in a lot of ways. And even with Paul, obviously, like Danger Danger was like huge influence on me. And there's so many bands that I kind of looked up to. Hailstorm was probably the number one, to be honest. I think that Hailstorm's Strange Case of album, that was a big record for me, because it just changed the way like I viewed things. I saw obviously like Joan Jett doing the women in rock thing, and a lot of people that kind of paved the way. But then when I saw Lizzie Hale doing it, I was like, oh, this is still happening. Like, I can do this. And it was cool for me to be able to like see, such a powerful, strong woman with such a good voice do it.
What did you think of her work with Skid Row?
I loved it. I thought she did it in such a classy way. And, she was not trying to be anyone else. She was being herself. Definitely, she just did it in the best possible way. And I was watching something about her training for it. She was saying that she was full on training for this gig, because obviously the Skid Row catalog is like immense. So it's insane to see, how people kind of train for their tours. I love reading that kind of stuff.
Did that make her even cooler in your eyes when she did that? Like, just when you thought she'd hit the bar, that just went the next level?
Oh, Lizzie Hale is always just doing things, I was actually speaking to someone that is on the label, Jared James Nichols, the other day, and he was telling me some stuff about her, and I sit there with hard eyes for her. Like, she's just like my woman crush. I'm obsessed with her. She's such a cool person.
Since becoming an artist in your own right and playing all over the world, you've got to share stages with some of your favourite bands. Before that, though, how was the live music scene for you, actually seeing bands as a fan? Was you getting to see any of your favourite artists, or was it going to see your dad perform? Do you remember any of those early gigs you went to?
Totally. I did the whole like Kiss thing when I was younger with all the makeup, and we went as a family. It was really fun. I did Aerosmith when I was probably about 9 years old as well. I remember it was like the week I think I got my tonsils out, so I couldn't like sing, but I was just watching and analysing everything. And Steven Tyler, like, I'm so glad that I got to see him as a front person, because he's insane. So that was great. I've seen a bunch of bands since then, like Alice Cooper, there's been heaps. Obviously, I love Heat. I've been on tour with the guys from Heat before. I supported them on their Australian run, and it was insane. It was great to see Kenny do his thing as well. Yeah, it's been awesome to kind of just be brought up in this scene, I guess. When
you went to see your dad perform when you were younger, did he become a different person on stage? Like, who's this guy?
You know what? Like, it's funny because obviously, like, my dad rehearses also in the house, and I grew up seeing the man like stand in his studio, play guitar, and like sing out his harmonies. And I think, it taught me like you have to put in so much effort to this craft as well. And he's such a committed person. And And I love that. I loved watching that as a child, and it really just brought up a lot in me. But yeah, definitely, he just kind of transforms into a different human being on stage. My dad, he's going to kick me for saying this, not actually, but he loves cartoons like Paddington Bear, and like our dog's called Snoopy because he's obsessed with Snoopy and I'm obsessed with Snoopy. And then he's playing, full hard rock stuff. I'm like, whoa, where's the man who was just watching Paddington Bear yesterday? He'll love this when he watches this. Oops.
Was he and your family encouraging when you suggested you wanted to go into music seriously? You say they never pushed you, it was your own thing. So how was their reaction to that?
Yeah, definitely. My parents weren't ever people that said, this is what you need to do or this is what you can't do. And I think that a lot of that came from, obviously, my dad. He was in the music scene for a very long time. And before, obviously, I came into the picture, he goes to me and my brother when we were younger. We both grew up learning instruments. So like my brother played bass guitar and I played electric guitar. That was my first thing that I started on. And my brother just one day, he just didn't want to do it anymore. And he was like, absolutely, do what you want, what you feel like is going to satisfy you as a person. And I think for me, I was very lucky because obviously I listened to some of the music that my dad was listening to and it just kind of stuck. And it was exciting to, be able to play on stage and do all these cool things with my dad. And who's a better person to trust than your dad when you need them and, the hardest times in your life. And I really saw that this year when I needed it.
Was there ever any talk of, okay, you might not make a living out of this, but it will be rewarding in other ways creatively?
Absolutely. I think that myself and my dad would not be doing this if we were doing it for money. It's a love. And for me, it's been a love affair that's going on like 7 or 8 years. And I think that it's very exciting to kind of see this kind of shift for me, especially in the new record and the new stuff and all the stuff I'm beginning to do next year. Even when I got signed to the label, it was such a massive thing because it's just something that it doesn't happen for a lot of musicians. And I felt so blessed that I'm with a record label that really just sees me for who I am as an artist and really can kind of get behind me and really like foster, the good qualities that they like in me. I'm lucky in that sense.
Being a fan of old school hard rock, whilst always having got a very loyal fan base, but it's always struggled for credibility, was the direction you wanted to take ever a discussion? Or did you always just go with your heart? Like, I could maybe go in like a Avril Lavigne direction or something like that. Or did you just say, no, this is the music I love. If I do it with passion and 100%, people will see that and gravitate to it. Was there ever a thought process behind that?
Yeah, I think definitely. For me, obviously, rock music is my roots, but I think a lot of people, what they're, understanding now with my music is that, I'm very much a bridging artist and I've never said that I would sit, directly in AOR. I think that for me, I kind of with the first record, something that I'm really glad I did was, there's a bunch of different styles on that record. Like Midnight Desire is so different to a track like Addicted. And I really like that because it's got a bit of everything and it kind of doesn't pigeonhole me into doing, things in a certain way. And that's a discussion that I really had with the record label even before signing. I was listening to a bunch of different genres when I was growing up. Obviously, rock was very much my roots, but, my dad is very much a believer of a good song is a good song. So when I grew up, he would play me stuff like Keith Urban because, he's such a, world-class musician and he has that, he's got like a bit of a rock edge to him, but I would listen to country music as well. That's something that I really feel grateful that I was brought up on. But yeah, I think even with the new record, I've gone a little bit harder with songs like Nothing Left to Lose. They've got more edge. They're heavier than what New Sensation was, definitely.
We've spoken about advice you've been given over the years, but from others. But is there anything you'd have told your younger self when they're perhaps scared about what the future holds? You've openly spoken about your struggles at school in the past, and that's a tough and very important time, which sticks with you as you grow up. So if you could have pulled the young Cassidy to one side, how easy would it have been to get through to her that everything is going to be okay, do you think?
Young Cassidy had a lot of anxiety. And I'll say that openly. Like, I think that especially this year, I've done a lot of work on myself to kind of get myself into the position where I'm a stronger human being. And, I was the kind of student in school that I really cared about getting good grades. And that's a great quality to have, of course. I think I cared too much to the point of like, sometimes I would make myself sick about it. And one thing that I would kind of just remind myself of is you're going to go through some shit, to be honest, and it's going to be hard. hard, and you're going to feel like sometimes it's not going to work out, or, maybe you have to take a different route, but taking a different route is okay. And I'm a really firm believer in everything happens for a reason. And that's something that I just have to remind myself sometimes, that I really do think good people come out on top. And if you have the best of intentions, it's going to be all right eventually.
Yeah, you slowly become bulletproof after a while. I think, at least I hope you do.
Exactly. I think this industry definitely does it to you, for sure.
What do you think she'd have said if you'd have told her that she'd be playing all over the world and sharing stages with people she has of posters on her walls?
I think she'd just sit there and wouldn't even say anything, because like I said, it's something that you obviously always kind of dream about. But when that dream becomes reality, it's, a whole different thing. Like your life ultimately, and I've seen it over the last year in particular, my life has really changed. I've had to change so many things I was even going to do next year, just because these new opportunities have kind of arisen. And I'm just so stoked about that, because for a minute there, I was like, whoa, this is such a big change for me. But change is not always, it can be hard, but then sometimes turns into something really good.
Yeah, always good to do something that scares you. If it scares you
Yeah.
and you still think it's worth doing, that's always the definite path to go on, I think. But speaking of posters, I saw in one of your recent Facebook videos, you had a Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure poster on your wall. And a Sugar Cult one as well. Impressive.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite films as well, along with obviously Wayne's World and probably Back to the Future. So there's a couple there that are just very iconic to me. Obviously, I'm very 80s influenced, so the whole poster thing is still very much always going to be a thing for me.
I always find that interesting. I'm all about 80s movies and 80s music and things like that. But even for me, it's always interesting to go back and watch those films which I've perhaps not seen for 20 years and watch them with fresh eyes and see if they hold up. Some hold up, some don't. So what films, you mentioned Back to the Future, I mean, that's one of my perfect films. How do you consume films these days, or who introduces you to these films? Are they on, have you got this channel that kind of regurgitates 80s films or anything like that?
You know what? I wish I had a channel like that. No, I definitely still use the streaming platforms, but there's some things on DVD that I'll go back to. But I actually watched Back to the Future, and I hadn't seen the first one in a long time, and I'm a huge Michael J. Fox fan. So I was just kind of sitting there with hard eyes because I'm obsessed with him. I'm obsessed with Lizzie Hale and Michael J. Fox is what you're going to get from this interview.
Have you seen Light of Day with Michael J. Fox and Joan Jett?
No.
Oh, there you go.
No, I haven't. Seen Teen Wolf.
Oh, Teen Wolf is a underrated, because Michael J. Fox hates Teen Wolf. He doesn't like it. And it's so good. It's so good. But add Light of Day to your list of movies. It's got Joan Jett, it's got Michael J. Fox, the brother and sister in a band. It's great. You need to add that onto your list.
Light of Day. Okay, I might do that tonight. That might be my watching thing tonight.
Nice one. Anything else you want to add, Cassidy?
I don't think so. I've had such a fun time chatting to you, Rob. I really have enjoyed it. It's been fun to kind of just go back and forth and feel like a conversation rather than, just a regular kind of interview. And I'm just looking at the background.
It's a bit of a mess down here. We've got videotapes, we've got bass guitars, we've got posters, we've got Star Wars figures.
A Van Halen album over there I can see, I think.
Yes, 1984.
Yeah. Awesome. So cool. I love seeing all the different backdrops, and then I just get inspired and then go do a little bit of meddling with my little spaces. No, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, no, it's a lot of fun. I look forward to hopefully seeing you when you hit the UK next year, and good luck with the new album release. And any more videos planned?
Yes, there will be another video, and I'm so excited about it, but that will be in a little while. I can't wait to get back to the UK. I really want people to tell me what to try and do the UK properly this time, because apparently is it haggis?
That's Scotland, yeah. Haggis, yeah.
And black pudding, things like that I've never tried before. And I think it'd be quite funny if I did, because someone said it's like blood or something.
Black pudding is basically blood pudding. That's what.
Okay. Maybe we'll just try the haggis.
The haggis is all right. Haggis is like cow's intestine or something like that.
What are you guys eating over there? I had the best time. So thank you so much, Rob. And I can't wait to catch up with you in Nottingham, hopefully next year.
Massive thank you to Cassidy Paris for chatting with me today on the Straight to Video podcast. That was a whole heap of fun to do, and I look forward to catching her live when she returns to the UK next May. Special shout out to my pal Amy for helping hook up the interview as well. And make sure to check out CassidyParis.com for all upcoming tour dates and info on how to pick up the brand new album Bittersweet when it lands on the 21st of November. So, at our 80s video shop in Alfreton, Derbyshire, which is just 10 minutes from junction 28 of the M1, we had our very first live gig at the shop this past week when Canadian madman B.A. Johnson arrived and tore the place apart in just the way he always does. It was such a fun evening, so thank you so much to everyone who attended, and also to my pal Dave Kerr for opening up the show. Hopefully more live events to come soon, but in the meantime, we have a bunch of cool screenings over the coming weeks in the form of documentaries about 80s movies The Keep and Megaforce, plus a return visit from author Paul Davis, who will be presenting a very special Lost Boys commentary evening on Saturday the 29th of November. Tickets for all these events are available from www.80svideoshop.co.uk, and if you can't make any of those, please swing by and see us when we're open as usual on weekends, Saturdays and Sundays from 11 till 3 p.m. So that is all for this episode of the podcast, and until next time, make sure to always be kind, please rewind and unwind, and I'll speak to you all real soon.